Over my head, I see freedom in the air. Over my head, oh Lord, I see freedom in the air.
We're listening to the voice of Dr. Bernice Regan singing Freedom in the Air. Dr. Regan is a musician and cultural historian and was an organizer and vocalist for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee in the 1960s. We're spending this hour listening to history, hearing the stories of women on the front lines of the civil rights movement. A new book called Hands on the Freedom Plow documents the personal stories of those working for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. We're joined in studio by Dr. Bernice Regan and Martha Noonan, one of the co-editors of this new book. Dr. Regan, tell us more about this song, Freedom in the Air, why it's important and how its significance in the movement not only help inspire the people who listen to it, but here we are listening to it some, 40-odd years later.
I, with Annette Jones, led the first march in Albany, Georgia in November 61. And we were supporting two students who were in jail because they had tried to buy tickets at the Trailway bus station. And they refused to pay bail. And so we did this march from the campus of Albany State College around the City Hall. And then when we finished the march, the administration did not support us. We knew we couldn't go back to the campus. And we went to the Union Baptist Church. The march had 3 monitors. They were all SNCC field secretaries, Cordell Regan, Charlie Jones, and Charles Sherrod. The march is interesting to me because we are walking forward, and there is a SNCC field secretary in front of the line walking backwards. And at one point, we have to actually cross a bridge. 2 of them are walking up and down the line, and one is walking backwards. This is the first march in Albany, Georgia. And I'm just going, this is really very, very deep. And they rotated so that that vulnerable position would be shared. And so we got inside of the church. We knew we were in trouble. But Charlie Jones said, Bernie, sing a song. And I started Over My Head. The first line of that spiritual that I always sing is, over my head, I see trouble in the air. I knew we were in trouble. I didn't think it would be helpful to do that line. So as soon as I started, I'm looking down the line and flipped it to freedom. Now, nobody else in that room had ever heard that line before. So the test was going to be when I said the second line, would anybody sing with me? So when I started the second line, which repeats that text, everybody was singing. So I knew they had approved that for the first time in my life, I had taken a spiritual, which is a sacred song, and changed the words to fit what we were doing. And as I thought about it later, I thought that I really didn't understand that spiritual until I had put myself outside of every safety zone I knew. And it was a very important sort of signal to me about this repertoire of old songs that had been sung by my people when we were slaves. Right. And what those songs meant. And what does it mean when you say trouble in the air? And so it's an important song for me. The next time I did it, it was coming out of jail. And I went to the mass meeting. And when I started the song, my voice was very different. It's the same voice I've used the rest of my life, but for the first time, my voice was very different. And I thought it was different because I in fact, was different.